Halloween
Forever.
Steve, got one for you. Ready?
Let her rip.
You're going to like it. You're going to like it. Why didn't the number 4 want to enter the haunted drive-in?
Why didn't the number 4 want to enter the haunted drive-in?
Come on. I feel like you can get this one.
It's
a math joke.
I'm sure it is. I don't do math. I was very bad at math.
I don't do
I was
math.
very bad at math.
You want me to tell you why? Why the number 4 didn't want to enter the haunted drive-in?
Why not?
Because he was too squared. Welcome, boys and ghouls, to a punishment episode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
I'm Steve. That one is, because I was like trying to do something related to the drive-in.
Yeah. Nope. Nothing to do with the drive-in. Nope.
Nope.
Basic math. Just basic math. Guys, I entered that little, I added some color to the world of that joke. Of course, because we're talking about a movie that has drive-in in the title. But more importantly, this is a punishment episode of Halloween is Forever. And I'll explain what that means in a motherfucking second here. Chill out. For those of you who did not join us for last week's episode, which would have been the very first episode in the lovely month of April. It was our April Showdown episode. We do some saucy content on here on the interwebs every damn Monday. And the first Monday of every month is what we call a Showdown episode, where me, Steve, and a guest will have a topic that'll get picked from 3 topics that came from a big old spinny wheel. We're going to do all that in a second for next month. And then once we have that topic, we then go ahead and pick movies associated with that topic. Last month, y'all finally picked a topic that's popped up from the spinning wheel quite a few times, which was our favorite horror movie scores and soundtracks. And we had Antonio on from the Cult Worthy podcast, and we had a good old time talking about that. But what it ultimately resulted in is your boy bringing home that son of a bitch and championship strap for the second month in a row. So I get to pick the punishment episode. But here's what happened, right? If you'll recall, I promised that I was going to just bring the pain on Steve. I was going to bring the hammer down on his insolent ass for ever even daring oppose me. But here's what happened. Couple things. First and foremost, I forgot I said that. Second, here's the other thing that happened that doesn't make me feel that bad about going back on my word. Because, spoiler alert, I picked a movie that I actually enjoy.
Yeah.
It's not a good movie, but it's a fun movie.
I was like, I had running bets in my head while watching this film, because I was like, this isn't that bad.
Yeah, you were waiting for like the other shoe to drop and it just to be like a fecal incest part or something like that. Yeah. No, it never happened. This was actually a movie that I just stumbled across. I'll tell you why I picked it here in a second.
Okay.
But this is not necessarily a punishment movie. It was kind of a fun little flick, kind of a fun little charming, low budget, labor of love type of flick, which I appreciated. The reason I forgot that I told him I was going to bring the ultimate pain, because I do have like 2 movies in my Letterboxd to watch list that I know are hot garbage that I've watched a portion of them, that I wanted to hit Steve with that. But first and foremost, I've been delving down that rabbit hole of them Christian horror movies in preparation for potentially using that as the next incarnation of our Patreon only podcast. So I was just up. I got my fill of dog shit for the week, and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't go through and watch one of those other movies. So I said, you know what? This one was one that just came up as a random Tubi suggestion, and as you all know, Tubi doth giveth, and Tubi doth taketh away. And in this instance, Tubi giveth, and just happened to suggest this movie. I put it on. I said, this is a fun little flick. This is a fun little low budget anthology with a really just charming wraparound, which was the part I liked the most.
Sure.
In any case, we'll get into it, and it was fine. I really got turned on by the wraparound and the first story, which I liked. And then they kind of sadly went downhill.
Oh, really?
Spoiler alert. And as far as my opinion, I kind of thought they went downhill.
Oh, I didn't. I thought they got better until the last one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it was more up and down than I'm remembering, but I remember being real psyched right off the bat, like 20 minutes in, and then like being like, maybe this isn't the greatest thing in the world. Anyway, but it'll be a fun one to discuss. In any case, I was all shitted out from watching, going down the rabbit hole of these Christian horror movies, and also I will say, I listened to last week's episode. I don't listen to every week's episode, because, you know, you can only hear so much your own voice. It gets a little old. But occasionally I'll be like, hey, I want to see how that turned out. Last week's episode, one of my favorite episodes we've ever done, I think. It was so much fun. And in no small part to Steve's editing. I know we always talk about how we're amateurs over here, but Steve actually is a professional at editing. That's what he does. That's his business. And it was really cool to see, like, as we talked about the parts of the movie, and you edited in some of the score, and it was really great. So, you know what? As a Steve appreciation for his tremendous editing work, because he does way more work than me on this entire project. I just talk like an idiot. He's the one who actually edits it. I said, you know what? I don't feel so bad about going back on my word and not giving him something that's going to truly punish him. That being said, if I win 3 times in a row, I'm fucking you up.
Right.
I'm fucking you up.
Gotcha.
I'm coming for you.
Gotcha.
So I picked a movie from 2009. Again, Tubi really picked it. And then I appreciated it, wanted to talk about it. It's called Drive-In Horror Show. And we'll talk about that son of a bitchin' movie here in a hot sec. All right. A couple things we got to do at the top of the show. First and foremost, we got to spin that son of a bitchin' wheel for what's going to be the May Showdown, the first Monday in May. So once again, this is how it works. We get this big old spinning wheel. It's got like a bajillion topics that we've built up over time. They could be subgenres. They could be particular performers, whatever. We got this spinning ass wheel. We spin it 3 times. We get 3 potential topics we put on the social media, and our social media friends and listeners on the Instagram, on the platform formerly known as Twitter. You can go on there and vote and pick which one you want us to do for the lovely month of May. If you want to help us do those sorts of things, maybe you have some suggestions for topics. Maybe you wanted to add to the fucking wheel. You can do that by following us on the social medias at Halloween is Forever on all the different platforms, or at Hallow Forever on Twitter, or shoot us a fucking email. I don't give a shit. I might read it. It's at Halloween is Forever pod at gmail.com. All right, let's get into that son of a bitchin' wheel, Steve. Let's spin it. See what May's going to bring for us.
Okay, here comes the first one to be voted upon by our audience. Space horror.
Ooh, buddy, space horror. I do love a space horror. We've done, I feel like, maybe not. We talk about it, but really when it comes down to it. I was going to say we've done a lot of space horror movies, but I don't think so. I think we just talk about them occasionally.
Yeah, we just talk about them. I don't think we've done a whole lot. I think you're just remembering because last week you did The Day the Earth Stood Still. You're just still high on that.
I guess so, because I was just thinking, like,
sorry,
are you excited about what the next one is already?
Yeah, I mean, it's also just kind of pertinent for the time, which is funny.
Yeah,
but and for whatever reason, I assume you're the one who named this one because it's on the wheel simply as frickin' mummies.
It could be either of us. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, frickin' mummies. I love a frickin' mummy.
Yeah, it's pertinent to the time now, though, because I believe like it's like the 25th anniversary of The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. So it's like,
oh, wonderful.
It's getting.
Yeah, I assumed that would be on my calendar. I don't know how I missed that.
Yeah, but it's getting a.
That was sarcasm.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Sarcasm.
I don't know
it's
why.
All right.
It's a good movie. It's fun.
It's fine. People hated it when it came out, and then people are now like super boned up about it.
I didn't hate it when it came out. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I didn't.
I didn't care. I didn't care for any of the sequels, like the Scorpion King. That fucking rock CGI Scorpion King was god awful.
I mean that's notoriously horrible.
Yeah, that was dog shit. But yeah, that is getting like a theatrical re-release this year.
Scorpion King or The Mummy?
The Mummy, not Scorpion King. No.
So that's wacky. Anyway,
number 3.
All right. Space horror, frickin' mummies, and what's number 3?
I thought space horror was going to run away with it, but yeah, number 3, also unfortunately pertinent to the time, but it's fairy tale horror.
Oh, wow. That would be fun because you could do things that were like direct, retellings of fairy tales, ones that are based on fairy tales. You could do like mythic stuff. You could do old school. You could do modern. I like that. That'd be fun. I could see people getting into that.
Yeah. It just made me think of like how many of those god awful fucking IPs that have gone public domain recently. And like even that Pooh Blood and Honey 2 came out like last week or something. So like
there's a lot of stuff in the theaters right now that I've heard or that I thought was going to be dog shit. Like the one movie I wanted to see, which I haven't seen yet. So no spoilers. I might go see it this weekend actually. I wanted to see Late Night with the Devil. Yeah. And I've heard great things. But then there's like 3 other movies out right now. There's a fucking nun horror. There's Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. There's some other religious horror that's out right now. I forget. There's like a few and all of them I was like, I'm not interested. These all kind of sound like dog shit. The first Winnie the Pooh movie was dog shit.
It was awful.
And then I've heard all 3 of them are good. Like I've heard people talk about all 3 of these as good. Yeah. So
I don't know. I believe people when they say the Sydney Sweeney Immaculate is good. I believe people
Immaculate. That's what it's called. That's the nun one, right?
Yeah, that's the nun one. I believe people when they say that's good.
I heard it go. It's pretty like mean and intense.
Yeah. I also kind of want to see The First Omen, which like
that was the other one I was thinking of. I knew there was another religious one there.
Yeah.
I heard that was good too.
Yeah.
I mean, all these remakes / prequels for a lot of these horror movies, freaking Hellraiser and The Exorcist and all these are like dog shit. So I just kind of assume it's going to be bad, but I've heard this one's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it looked good. It looked like it's set at an interesting time, but I don't know how it could tie into the original Omen as we know it. So yeah. I don't, it doesn't make sense because like it was the whole thing wasn't he was born from a jackal, so it can't be an actual pregnant lady. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He was born very young. I know that. Anyway, I don't know. We'll see. I know when I went to go see Late Night with the Devil, it wasn't out in a theater near me yet. And then it came out like later in that weekend. I couldn't go, so I haven't seen it yet. But there was a couple of these other things out, and I was like, fuck, I don't want to see any of these. But then I've turned. Maybe I should have.
Yeah. And there's still fucking Godzilla to see too. God damn Godzilla.
I know. God damn it, you dang Godzilla making me cry. Once again, let me remind you, if you feel strongly about any of these 3s, or if you don't, who gives a shit? Go out there and vote. Sometime, usually midweek, you'll see in our Instagram stories and then in our Twitter feed, we will have a little poll where you can vote on space horror, frickin' mummies, or fairy tale horror, which will all be options for our Showdown episode in the lovely month of May, guys. I'm excited. I already started. I watched Mad Men, which I like to call it. Mad Men Mars. I watched that the other night. I'm already in, even though that's a fall movie. That's not like a summer camp movie that takes place like around Thanksgiving. But I'm watching Camp Slashers already, guys. That's how excited I am for the fucking weather to break. I was at the Pirates home opener yesterday. It was fucking snowing. It was disgusting.
Hell yeah.
I'm so sick of this cold weather. It fucking makes me want to barf.
It's snowing and flooding.
Summer.
Pittsburgh's fucked up right now. It's great.
Oh, it's fucked up. My kids were off school Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The school's closed because of flooding.
Jesus.
Fucked up, guys. I'm ready for summer. All right. Last thing I did mention a little bit is if you've not been keeping up, where the hell have you been? We got a Patreon. It's patreon.com/Halloween is forever. You go over there and you got a couple options over there. You got a couple 2-tree options over there. Steve, why don't you tell them about it? Why don't you tell folks about them?
Yeah, you jump on that Patreon, you get all kinds of stuff. I give recos and reviews all month long of all kinds of stuff that I actually have seen instead of stuff I want to see. And
yeah,
a lot of the times there's stuff that I shouldn't have watched. It was just bad. And then I let you know that you shouldn't watch it.
I've been getting back into that mode because I used to do that all the time. And then lately I've been so busy. I'm like, no, I'm only going to watch stuff I want to watch. And now I've been getting into the mood of like going and watching shit I don't know anything about. And it's so refreshing because I remember how fun it is to spin that roulette wheel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've always just been a curious cat. So I'll just stumble upon stuff and start watching things. And like, sometimes it leads me down a good road and sometimes it needs to, send me down a bad road. From Dan in the Discord, as we're talking about Patreons, Steve, you need to scare Brian by telling him the director of The Killing Tree is the director of the Fast 10 movie.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Wait, you mean the Christmas one we watched?
The Christmas one, who also directed Pooh, Blood and Honey, who also directed Fast 10.
No, Christ almighty.
Yeah.
Oh, like I said, we have one movie left. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
There might as well be 10 movies left. That's how much I'm dreading this movie.
But hey, that brings us to the two other things you get from the Patreon. One, you get the Discord, so you can be like our other listeners and shit talk in the chat, and we'll bring you up if you say something funny that I think is funny. And you also get a monthly exclusive podcast. And currently, we're wrapping up our Family is Forever bend of 10 films in the Fast and Furious franchise. And April will be the end for Brian. He'll get to see Fast 10. Yeah, he'll get to see Fast 10
and the end of my life,
and then hang himself.
Yeah.
So yeah, jump on that Patreon and sign up. Get that $5 tier, and then you can get all those wonderful things we just talked about.
Yeah, it's like you're running a marathon, and you're 20. You're 20 miles in. You're 22 miles in. You've got a few miles left, but if those miles are the longest miles, and it just feels long. And the fact that I have to watch the 10th movie in this franchise, they're getting like, they're not even getting more entertaining. They're just getting fucking
longer.
They're just getting more overwhelming, and longer consistently every single time. I swear they're getting longer. That brings me to what I'd mentioned at the top of the show. And actually what Dan, who's also in the Discord with us now, and I were mentioning, we were chatting back and forth on the Instagram. He's been giving me some suggestions, and I've been kind of working through some options here, because once we're done with this fucking movie, then it's my turn. Then it's Daddy's turn to inflict some pain, or at the very least, decide something to pivot from that's not the fucking Fast and the Furious franchise. And we went through a couple of different things in our scenarios. One of which I'd mentioned is I'm thinking about, do I do a Christian horror movie list? I've been watching some of them. They will be really fun to talk about, but they also, like, some of them are really tough to watch, but some of them are really funny to watch. But here's I'm going to go through the titles of some of these movies that I have a list of a number of ones that I'm considering. And if you have any, because this is kind of like my front runner right now. I have some other ideas. I've been talking about the idea of doing movies just featuring or starring wrestlers. I think that would be fun.
Oh yeah.
But that's not going to be, that's fun for you. That's fun for both of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
ideally I want something fun for me and bad for you, but it's just, that's hard to do.
I've seen some real dog shit fucking wrestler horror movies. They are abysmal. That a lot of the ones that are out there. Also, I think because it's not necessarily going to be exclusive horror movies our next bend, but I'm just saying I've seen a lot of those. But also, like, I think Rob Van Dam is in a couple Steven Seagal movies. So like, yeah, there's some.
They don't have to be horror,
right?
You know, obviously Fast and Furious isn't horror, but
yeah, there's just some real bad ones out there. Yeah.
I just like the never-ending pit that we could get down into some real deep dog water for the Christian horror movies. Like there's a lot to choose from, right? Here, I'm just gonna go down through a few that interest me. This one's called The Industry Did It.
Okay.
Who knows what that's about? Unwanted Presence. I think you might be able to figure that one out. The Reconciler. Allison's Choice.
Oh man.
Spoiler alert. That one's about abortion.
Spoiler alert, she shouldn't have one.
Yeah. Escape from Hell. That's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, buddy.
Right to believe. That one feels a little bit more militant. Accidental activist.
Ew.
The lock-in. That's gonna get sexy. Unidentified. See me dance. Jerusalem countdown.
Ooh.
Love where that's going. Yeah. Imminence. Inner demons. Bigfoot : the conspiracy.
Ooh.
That's a Christian horror movies. Yeah. Blood pageant. Time changer. The burning hell. Yeah, you can see where that is.
Yeah.
Assassin 33 AD.
Now this one I know about. And this one is fucking crazy. I haven't seen it, but I know of it. And it's about like a team of terrorists who go back in time to assassinate Jesus. That fucking rules as a movie idea.
Yeah, that is accurate. That is exactly what it's about. Chained Girls. That's the Hoy from 1965. That's like a scare teens kind of a Reefer Madness type situation. Image of the Beast. I'm excited about that one. The Prodigal Planet. The Appointment. Worm from 2007. Check that out. That looks fucking wild. The Last Vampire on Earth. That's kind of a Jesus-y kind of Twilight type situation.
Huh.
And then The Life Zone, which I'm really excited about. So those are just a few of the ones I'm thinking about. If you've got more suggestions, throw them our way because it's going to be coming out real soon. And this is the one I'm leaning towards. I haven't decided 100% yet, but this is the one I'm leaning towards. Before we get into our movie, we got one more order of business we got to do at the top of the show. You got a beer over there, Steve, sipping on or what?
I don't have a beer.
Oh.
I don't even have beer. I got
no beer.
I got 2 drinks because I got prepped. I bought these in anticipation before you told me what the movie was going to be. I was like, oh, Brian's going to fuck me over on this. So I'm just going to buy some garbage to make him mad. Yeah. So I'm drinking on the episode. I'm drinking garbage.
Sure.
So you remember Not Your Father's Root Beer back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Well, guess what, buddy? They're back in a real way. But it's not just root beer this time. This time, it's cherry cola and strawberry vanilla.
Strawberry vanilla. Cherry cola I can get behind.
Yeah.
I love a cherry Coke, but strawberry vanilla sounds intense.
I haven't got to that one yet. I'll get to it during the episode, but cherry cola is all right. It's kind of flat. Like it's mostly flat, but it doesn't taste medicine-y, which is great. So I'm good with that. It's fine. It's fine. They also had like regular cola and lemon lime. The lemon lime one was really good. Like, is it still made by Pabst? Does it say on there? I remember, wasn't the original one made by Pabst? I think it was. Maybe it was. I can't remember. Yep, it's still made by Pabst. Canned in Memphis, Tennessee. Beautiful Memphis, Tennessee, of course. Yep. Well, I am drinking from the old Leinenkugels variety pack that I got to get the grapefruit out of. I am drinking Leine's Juicy Peach, which is like it's like a sour, like a tart peach. Yeah. Kind of wheat ale. It's fine. It's fine. Like I said, I had to get my fix because I love the grapefruit shandy. A little early for the summer shandy for me, although it's year round now, so it's not really summer shandy anymore. You can get it whenever the hell you want. And what's the other one in there? There's another beer in that variety pack. Oh, there's a cherry or something like that, which I haven't had. But the Juicy Peach is all right. Yeah, it's got a little tartness. When you think peach, you think like a peach beer is going to be aggressively sweet, but no, this has got a little bit of tartness to it, which is nice. Yeah, so, yeah, I fuck with it. Yeah. Can I tell you the original drink I was going to have instead of these? Because like I said, I was going for like effect, and I saw that Captain Morgan had released an RTD and it's like 8% in one of the stovepipe cans, and it's a Hurricane. I was just gonna drink Captain Morgan RTD Hurricane. I was excited for that, but then I found these. I got kind of more excited. I was like, I'm gonna have some of these. See, we're recording this in the afternoon here on a Saturday. I'm just gonna have one because I'm going to play in a poker tournament tonight, so I know I'm gonna be up late. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just sticking with the coffee throughout the day. I'm going to have a beer, and then I'm sure I'm going to, crack, 10 or 12 High Lifes tonight. So, so I figured this is a nice one just to ease in. I'm just going to watch Wrestlemania.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah. I forgot WrestleMania is not tonight. We will probably have it on in the background because the person's house I'm going to, I feel like they'll buy the pay-per-view.
Sure.
We're getting pizzas. People are going to get knocked out of the tournament. It's a tournament type situation, so everybody can hang out and watch WrestleMania afterwards. I actually completely forgot. I haven't been following WWE like at all recently. Although I know The Rock is back, so I don't know why I haven't been, but I just haven't. Honestly, here's what it is. The Pens are making a playoff run.
Mm-hmm.
The Pirates started. I like the sports.
Yeah.
I like the sports balls. It's the Final Four for both men's and women's basketball. There's just lots of sports to watch. So, and not to mention, movie flicks for the old podcast. So I just haven't had time in the old schedule for wrestling.
Yeah.
So what's the main event here tonight?
I mean, for the past couple of years, they've been running, like double main events and everything. But this night is The Rock and Roman Reigns against.
Yeah. I know Cody Rhodes. People are all pissed off because Cody Rhodes, during a recent pay-per-view, got his run up and then he got his ass kicked and then
yeah. So
people are hot on Cody Rhodes. Yeah. I haven't watched him enough, and I don't get it. And maybe it's because I haven't watched him enough, but I'm like, what's everybody's boner for Cody Rhodes besides like the lineage aspect, Yeah. Or he's just so fucking American. Is that what it is?
Yeah, he's so fucking American, but he just kind of has that story of like he came up being like Goldust's brother, at the time, leaves the company, goes and starts AEW, gets huge on the indie scene and with AEW, and then comes back to like a lot of fanfare and it's also Dusty's kid. So
so it's the come up.
Yeah,
he's got the come up. That's what he's excited about.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
all right. See, I didn't watch him in AEW really. I mean, I was aware of him, but I didn't watch him in AEW. So I never developed any type of really liking for him. That time frame with AEW and like what was going on in WWE, like there was just none of the stars they were pushing I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
I've never liked Roman Reigns. My brother likes Roman Reigns. I always tease him. He's a Roman Reigns guy. I use his like Max subscription.
Yeah.
Right. We like share different subscriptions. His Max subscription's logged in on my TV, and his like icon when you click on his profile is Roman Reigns. I laugh every single time. Like, I'm like, what are you doing, dude? The whole Shield, all that stuff. Like, I just never got into any of that storyline at all. So I'm like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah, sure.
But now I like AEW. Like now when I watch AEW, I dig it. I actually have been more invested in that than WWE.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a little bit of everything. I like them both, but this run up for this match between like Rock and Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. It's been something. It's been wild.
Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is. What's the guy who has that? He's even where his name's escaping me. He's the worst. He's worse than any of the Shield guys. The guy who has like the fucking Karen haircut. He is very athletic. He was great. He's got a beard. He looks like fucking Billy Ray Cyrus. He's got the swoopy ass haircut.
You just threw a whole bunch of things at me, and I'm just not sure.
He has like real pretty boy ass hair. He's a little bit older now. He came up I feel like he came up on the indie circuit too.
Tall guy, white guy, black guy,
white guy, average size, not a monster. Oh god damn. I'll think of his name. He's got a beard.
You're not thinking of Daniel Bryan, are you?
No. I know Daniel Bryan is. I like Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
That's probably the last time I watched was when Daniel Bryan was coming up. Fuck, what's this goddamn guy's name? All right, it's gonna drive me nuts if I don't look it up right now.
Wrestler guy, swoopy hair.
Yeah, I'm just gonna because I know
man, average size with beard.
I know he held the belt for a while.
So was he in the Shield?
No,
not in the Shield. Not CM Punk.
I hate Randy Orton. God, I hate CM Punk. I hate all these guys. Daniel Bryan I like. Brock Lesnar's a rapist.
Yep.
Seth Rollins sucks. Roman Reigns sucks. AJ Styles.
AJ
God
Styles.
damn it, I couldn't think of his name.
Yeah.
with his fucking Karen hair and his goatee beard, whatever. AJ Styles fucking sucks. I hate AJ Styles. I couldn't even remember his fucking name. I liked Sheamus. Actually, I liked Sheamus. He was all right. But like, I'm thinking of those like 2010s guys. Like that's just, God, I fucking hated all of those guys. There was just no one to root for at all. Stone Cold came back for a sec. I was excited, but that was short lived. All right, guys, I got all my wrestling frustrations out of the mix. That's our Wrestlemania segment here for this episode. But I'm sure I'll undoubtedly watch some of it tonight.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, let's get into this son of a bitchin' movie, guys. We're not gonna. It's an anthology, so we do have 5 stories to talk about. But I'll tell you what got me all psyched up for this. Okay, I'm sitting in the basement doing my normal, I think it was last Friday night, or maybe it was last Saturday night. I forget. And I'm, drinking on some beer, sitting in the basement, watching some movies. I had watched something really heavy. I forget what. And I was like, "Ooh, that was good. I like that a lot." Oh, Kate and I watched Pontypool.
Oh, okay.
Finally watched Pontypool. I had never seen it. It had been on my to watch list for a long time. Fuck. I like that movie a lot.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Really like that movie. And Kate liked it as well too, which she's not like she has a very specific, horror taste, and we both were like, fuck, that was good.
She likes elevated horror.
Yeah, she doesn't like, she doesn't like the ultra violent stuff either. A little bit more psychological. I would venture to say probably one of her favorite, horror / thriller movies. She really likes Seven. She's always a big fan of Seven. But then she fucks with, Killer Clowns from Outer Space too, you know what I mean, because it's just entertaining. But boy howdy, we both really liked Pontypool. But then she went to bed and I said, all right, let me get into something weird, let me get into something out there, so like I said, Tubi came up and said, hey, you should watch this next. I said, all right. So I watched Drive-In Horror Show from 2009. So this is going back a little bit. 15-year-old movie, and I immediately fell in love with the wraparounds. This might be my favorite wraparound, at least the first few really the whole thing is fine. Really since John Carpenter and Body Bags. Like I love this wraparound. It's so entertaining, it's so charming. And here's what I like about it. As a fan of short fiction and in turn of anthology horror movies, these guys get it. So many anthology horror movies now, if they have a quote unquote silly wraparound, it's because the stories are all very silly and tongue in cheek too. Look at all the best wraparounds. Look at Body Bags. Look at, or even just horror host type situations like The Crypt Keeper, right? Yeah. It's to provide levity when the story's really fucking mean.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's what we were talking about last week when we were talking about like that piece of music that comes in after the end of Hereditary. It's the off gassing. Yeah. It's the pressure valve releasing you from whatever you just watch.
Exactly. And they get it in this because the wraparound is fun, but the stories, especially the first one, is mean, right? And nasty. Yeah. So it gave me a lot of Tales from the Crypt vibes, which I liked right off the bat. I will also say one thing that drew me to this is I really like the way it's shot. Not all of it. There are certain ones where the lighting is like they're trying to do something specific and it's kind of dog shit. But there are other points, like especially the wraparound I think it's shot in 16 millimeter.
It is.
Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You would know better than me, but it gives this, even though it's 2009, it gives it this very vintage look.
Yeah. So this is one of those interesting points in like kind of filmmaking where digital is becoming more accessible to just, the regular jag-off and, but still like high def cameras aren't as available. Yeah. So like, we can point, like I was so surprised at how well this film looked for something from the 2009, because usually it was filmed on a fucking camera that looks like the one when I showed you guys my fucking student film. Like we had prosumer cameras in that time because it was 2007, but like all that stuff looks like dog shit today because like it was at best 720p, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, like you weren't, it was really hard to get a hold of like a good 1080p camera. And even then, like just some of the pixels weren't there. It wasn't all great back then.
No, I mean, I see a movie that's between 2005 and 2010, and unless it's a high budget thing, I assume it's going to look like shit now.
Yeah.
Just they haven't aged well.
Yeah, but this one looks great because it was filmed on 16 millimeter, and the confluence comes in the editing because it's very clear that they edited this probably on just like Final Cut 7, and like all the titles look like just kind of flat and goofy. They look like like something I would have done in like TV production class in ninth grade. Yeah, the font on the titles is like everybody recognizes the schlop font, but like it's also before we probably had like these massive font websites that you could pull better stuff from. The sound design is pretty crap. Like the actual recorded sound is good because they're filming on a 16 millimeter camera. So I assume that means they also had just like a dedicated sound man on set. They had to have, right? So like there is good recorded sound, but any of the sound design, like when the monster in the closet sounds like a dog just going, "Arr," that's fucking crap. So I really like the charm of a film that like has this confluence of like, before things fully switched over to just filming on iPhones, and then there's infinite libraries of sound and titling and shit like that. So I like the charm. They can only do so much. They can only do so much on a low budget, and of course they blew their wad on the shooting on the 16 millimeter. I'm sure as well. Oh yeah, that was so fucking expensive.
And it goes without saying that there's no, known actor. No, I did not recognize a single person from this, and I didn't even recognize the director, Michael Neal, which I'm, taking a look at his credits, director, but also editor, cinematographer, did a lot in this movie. He actually did a movie just this last year, which was an H.P. Lovecraft adaptation. And then I saw in there he did something which I think it might have been animated. I'm not sure. I haven't looked down yet. Something called Infinite Santa 8000 from 2013. Otherwise, his credits are pretty sporadic, right? But yeah, this was really just, I don't know, really charming. He and the thing he directed last year was a short in 2023, but still active, and this was just something that felt like it was done with a lot of love and care, and again, this is so directly up my alley. I get it. It's a fucking post-apocalyptic / haunted drive-in, so it's haunted in the sense that there are like ghost schools, zombies and stuff like that. Yeah. But they also say that like this is the people left because there was multiple apocalypses that happened. You know what I mean? So it's very vague. Basically, what you're saying is it's like fucking Monster High, but you're at a drive-in theater. You know, and the world has ended, which explains why there's just not a lot of people on the screen at any one given time.
It's like in the Fallout games, how like. There's all the tropey monsters of like zombies and mutants and shit like that, but it's like because of nuclear radiation or whatever, they just give it a science fiction-y bend, but it's still the same tropey monsters we recognize.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, so like the protagonist, or not protagonist, the host, which is the projectionist, is kind of talks like an old, he's almost doing that weird, vaguely monster sounding, like a little bit Boris Karloff, little bit Bela Lugosi, little like Peter Lorre at times. It's just like that. I'm a spooky boy, like doing that kind of sound.
So I wasn't immediately on board with this film. I actually didn't get on board until the second short story. I liked like I liked what they were attempting, but I just wasn't on board yet. I was like, I get it. I like the character things. I like what you were trying, but I don't know if you got me yet. And so my first note though is like, oh, this guy's doing a bum ass Vincent Price as Werner Herzog.
It is. Okay, you're right. It's more Vincent Price than the other ones. Yeah, it's got Vincent Price vibes. But he's just very animated and like delivering his lines like really. He's doing a great job. Here's where I was sold. First, I saw the 16 kind of millimeter aesthetic, and I really loved that. And they're showing all the areas. If you show a fucking drive-in snack bar, you got me. You know what I mean? The snack bar at the drive-in, you got me. But then they have, and so the piece that projects in this, and it's ghosts and ghouls and stuff that are all running the drive-in, and then the guests are like these ghostly kind of ghoul things. They're like floating ghosts, but they have like skeleton hands and stuff. Whatever. We'll get to it in a second. But then his like projectionist / assistant is this guy named Billy Troll, who is just got this crazy practical effects like mask on that's got like sunglasses, but then he's got like a claptrap type of like metal jaw on the bottom. It doesn't make any sense. He's just pieced back together, melted, ghoul type of guy with like thick, almost like 3D glasses type of thing on. So I'm on top of the aesthetic here. Yeah, and the stories, like I said, aren't too tongue in cheek. They are low budget. They're definitely very campy, but they're not. Like I said, they're not like wink, wink, nod, nod on everything.
No,
which I enjoy.
No, I think my only real criticism is that like they're a little too straightforward.
Yeah,
they none of them will surprise you in the way they go.
I like that they finish mean though. Like you know what I mean? The second one we'll talk about. I'm interested to see what you liked about it, because there were certain things I liked about it too, but that was the one that it was like very repetitive. If we're thinking about the right one. Let's start at the beginning. Let's start the first one. It was called Pig, and it's a revenge story about this like woman who comes, a college student. She comes in contact with this date rapist, and you start out in the bathroom with her waking up in the bathroom after a crazy night of partying at this fraternity house, which Delta Omega Alpha is the DOA is the fraternity. And she's got this guy who apparently had like roofied her and raped her. So again, we're getting mean subject matter, like rough subject matter right off the bat.
Yeah.
And she has roofied him the next morning, taken him into the bathroom, used like industrial strength, like wood glue, and glued him on his back, laying in the bathtub.
Yeah.
And she is going to, she's carved him up. She's got him all fucked up. She's fucked up his, face and all this stuff.
Just knocked like his teeth out of his top.
All his teeth and his top are on. Yeah, exactly. He's knocked his top teeth out. She's fucked him all up, and she's going to turn on the water, and slowly he's going to drown, freaking Pit in the Pendulum style in his bathtub. So very, very mean. The performances, a little melodramatic, a little not great, but they're playing it straight.
Yeah, and this is why I'm still not fully on board, because one of my next notes is movie is full of acting. Just acting in capital, because like she also does like acting with a cigarette, where she's just
she's chewing the scenery with the cigarette. She's like, I'm gonna lay here and smoke and watch you drown. There's a lot of lines like that. The lighting in this one's weird. I kind of see what they were going for. It's just this kind of like ultra realism type of lighting in this bathroom with this like fluorescent light. It kind of makes it feel a little found footagey at times. So it kind of works. It kind of doesn't.
Yeah.
So like sometimes you're like, oh, this makes it looks really real. And then other times you're like, oh, this looks like dog shit. So I get what they were trying to do. And I'm sure it was a matter of necessity to a certain extent, but it also feels like a deliberate choice. So I don't know. What was your thought on that? You know more about this stuff than me.
To me, it was they were filming in a bathroom. And so like all the sound is going to be fucked up, and it's not going to look great. Like a lot of, and I compliment them for shooting on 16 millimeter, and they do a lot of daytime. Like they have to do a lot of daytime just because it's like, it is so hard if you can't afford the huge lighting kit. And like the only time this really comes into play is in the last film. And they get some pretty nice night shots in there in that last one.
I know they do, don't they? Because like up until this, we get a lot of day for night stuff.
Yeah.
And then the last one, really cool looking shots in the woods at night.
But they're like purposely underexposed, so you can't see that much.
They want it to feel really isolated, like you can't see more than 2 feet on either direction.
Right. Yeah. So the other stuff, the other films are pretty, it's just like a lot of daytime stuff, and they control the light by staying indoors a lot. But this one is just like you're filming in a bathroom. It's going to sound bad. It's going to look bad. And I was forgiving for that. And like, I don't know. Like I said, that's why I just still wasn't on board. Like I was just like, I'm letting it play out. Like I'm seeing okay stuff. Cause like this whole trap setup is fucking crazy. I like the whole trap setup. Like I've glued you, and now I'm going to drown you, and you're going to be aware of it. Fuck yeah.
Well, then she's also like he's pulling his skin off as he's like trying to get out of the tub. And so there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said, it's brutal. There is a lot of practical effects in this entire film. Lots of latex and blood and guts and that sort of stuff.
Do you want to talk about the guy who did the effects?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
This is an interesting case. We've talked about this before. Like this has come up repeatedly on the show about like we watch a movie and the movie's kind of middling, but you notice the effects really well, and then you look at that effects person and they've gone on to do a lot. So the lead effects artist, I would say, on this film, his name's Rob Fitz, and he actually got his start kind of before this film. His first film that he ever worked on as a makeup artist was on Jumanji.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
interesting. The Robin Williams Jumanji.
Yeah, the original Robin Williams 1995 Jumanji. And so
of course, not the Rock one. That was only a few years ago.
Yeah. So
I was thinking this movie is 2019, not 2009.
Yeah. So like he gets that early start as a makeup artist, and he's not typically a horror artist. So I think he usually is. I think maybe he might have been from the Massachusetts area or something, or just knew the director, or maybe was a little cheaper or something. But like the rest of his films are like Meet Joe Black, the Ted. Remember that movie with the Seth MacFarlane?
The Bear.
Yeah, the Bear, The Equalizer, Super Troopers 2, which is like doing Super Troopers 2 also makes me think he might have some sort of tie to Massachusetts area.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like everything else, he
the
doesn't
Broken Lizard guys are all from there, right?
I think so. But, or at the very least, I think that was filmed up there, but yeah.
Yeah, because aren't they Canadian?
No, they're not Canadian. I don't think so. No, I don't think they're Canadian. He was also the special effects artist on Paul Blart Mall Cop. So
hell yeah.
So like this guy has like he works on a lot of big name stuff, but it's just usually not horror.
Yeah. He did a fantastic job in this one, and probably with obviously a very small budget to work with.
Yeah.
The second part of the wraparound is really what I fell in love with. It is when he's in the projection booth, and then they put over the loudspeaker, "Hey, you got to come to the main, come to the ticket booth. We've got some disgruntled customers," and it's two, imagine the classic Halloween ghoul. Right, that you hang up on. Like I have multiple that I hang up, on my porch. It's like black, like tattered robe, cloak type situation, skull face, skull arms, no legs, just floating. You know what I mean? And they're just at the booth, and they're like, and they have this like ghosty whisper voice, which I love. And they're like, this is bullshit. Like, they don't say that. I forget what they say. But they say something like that. They're
so
like,
fucking funny if they did though.
this is bullshit. Yeah, but he's like, I want my money back. And they're like, and he's like, basically like, no, we don't, no refunds. And he's doing like Crypt Keeper bits, where he's like, the undead are so hard to please, kind of thing. And it's so much fun. And then we get into the second story, which is called The Closet, which has its moments, but again, it gets a little repetitive. But there's this, a kid, I'm going to say he's 10 years old, maybe. And he lives with his family. His name's Jamie. And he's got this shitty white trash family, his parents and his sister. And the parents love the sister. They hate him. They treat him like shit. And they don't maintain their condiment bottles. I will say that right off the bat. They're crusty as fuck. And he wants to become an astronaut. He's like obsessed with space. He fucks with two things. That's space and Chopin for some reason. I don't know why. It's never explained. He's got a bust of Chopin. He listens to it on his tape deck. I'm not really sure why. We get real into it right off the bat. Basically, after his parents and sister treat him like shit for a while, there's an alien monster in his closet. And it uses mind power, kind of, I guess, to talk him into feeding his family to them. And that's it. I mean, there's a little bit of a twist at the end, but it's like, feed me your sister. And he's like, hell yeah. And he does. And he's like, feed me your mom. Hell yeah. Like, it's kind of what it does. But you get this cool thing of like, I do dig the eyes of the monster, the effects in the closet. And then you get this pretty cool effect of like, you don't really see the monster flat out. You just see its big like jaws, it's got these big like bloody jaws as he's munching the family members. And like I said, you see this eyes pop up. And ultimately, after the whole family's gone, it does take a little bit of an unpredictable turn in that the kid just cleans up everything. They have like shit all over their yard. And the kid kind of like looks at his neighbors who are like this kindly old family, like are kindly like old, like elderly couple. And they're always waving at him and nice. And then his house, people, his family hates him. But his yard is all like shitty. There's like garbage everywhere and like fucking lawnmowers on the, just shit all over the yard. He cleans it all up. That's the first thing he does after his family's dead. And then there's this scene of him like getting stressed because he can't pay the mortgage. and like people are looking for his family. And, I don't know. It just was a weird turn. And then ultimately he feeds himself to the monster because he's like, damn it, I shouldn't have fed my family to them.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It's pretty straightforward. There's not, it's a pretty predictable twist considering it's like, what else could that kid do?
Well, and even the monster is like, obviously manipulate him because he talks him into feeding the family. And then when he's done, he's like, you're a dick, Jamie. You shouldn't have done that. And Jamie's like, fuck,
stupid. I like one of the early scenes in this is when the kid first gets in trouble at the dinner table and he's like yelling at his dad and he's just like, this family sucks.
This family sucks. I hate you.
Yeah. And then his dad yells at him to repeat it. And on the repeat, the kid can't not smile through it. Like the kid's not the worst actor, but he really just biffs it on this one.
He does. He fucks it up.
Yeah.
And they kept that take. Yeah. The funny thing for me is I know a guy. I used to work with a guy who looks exactly like the dad.
Oh,
I just couldn't stop thinking. I couldn't stop thinking of.
Yeah.
That's a former coworker of mine.
I knew a kid in high school whose dad looked like that. And then he grew up to look exactly like his dad, too. So, like, it's just like, I don't know. There's just something about just white trash dudes with goatees that look like that. So, the reason why this one started catching me and I started getting on board, even though it was, like, long and predictable, is they maintained that 16 millimeter aesthetic. So, like, it looks really good. Like, this one looks far better than the previous film. And The other thing I really liked was all the fake TV shows that they had made.
Oh, yeah.
I was like
Hawaii. What was it called? Hawaii Surf Teens or something?
Yeah. It's like beach teens in Hawaii or some shit like that. Yeah. So they had that one, and then they had just like this knockoff sci-fi film that they made.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they're like, the fact that they dedicated themselves to making a very separate small piece of thing that's only going to be seen for seconds at a time. I was like, okay, these guys are really, really trying, and they're making.
Didn't they do like a little wrestling show too?
That's in the next one.
Oh, that's the next one. Okay,
yeah. Right. That's the next one. But yeah, the fact that or not the next one, that's 2 from now. But
okay.
Yeah, the fact that I was like, okay, these guys are like dedicating, they're really trying. I'm gonna give myself over to this. And like I like the monster design and everything. And I was like, they understand less is more with the monster by showing mostly only its eyes for the, you never see the full monster. You see see arms and teeth, and I think you see the face in full at one point. And when you see it, it's a big fucking
parts, most of the face. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you see it, it's a big fucking puppet. So like, that's fine. I'm good with all that.
Yeah. He just looks like a dang old space dinosaur or whatever, space lizard. All right. The third one was kind of interesting as well. It had its moments. It was called Fall Apart. And you start out, you got this guy's name's Patrick. He's all bandaged up, and he's in like this kind of sterile, room with all the plastic, kind of drapes down and stuff like that. Almost you would see in like a contamination room or something like that. He's like this weird old school doctor who like tries to help people without insurance and does like house calls.
Yeah.
Right. So he's like, the system's broken. I'm a doctor in the sense of like the old school, early 20th century type of doctor kind of thing. It's like you come over and then I'll give you a shot and tell you to have some whiskey, and then you go home and you pay your bill when you have a chance or whatever.
He's a doctor you don't go to. He's a doctor you send for.
Yes. Yeah. He goes to people's houses. So Dr. Pat's marriage is on the rocks. There's a lot of backstory that's, pads things out and creates a bit of a world here, but you're like, well, that didn't really have to do with anything that ultimately happened. But Dr. Pat's marriage is on the rocks. He's trying again, but he's trying to get back with his estranged wife. They're not divorced, they're separated. So they're kind of trying to reintroduce like romance into their life. They're separated. The wife is actually a pretty decent performer. She's not in a ton of it, but she's pretty good.
Yeah.
Dr. Pat is struggling. The actor who plays Dr. Pat, he kind of works as a doctor though, because like you get the idea that the character is like, I don't know, maybe autistic. I don't know if that's exactly the way to say it, but like he's just has like a different kind of flavor to his personality, and it kind of works a little bit for a doctor because like that's just how some doctors are. I feel like especially when you treat people and stuff like that, you have to have a degree of like kind of separation. I feel like you have to be able to have like good bedside manner, but also like, if you're too compassionate as a doctor, it's like being a surgeon. Like if you're just like normal people aren't just going to be like, oh yeah, I'll just cut into people every day and play with their guts and like then go home and have lasagna. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like it takes a certain type of person to do that and be like, that's what I'm going to do for 40 years. Right. So this is kind of the vibe I get from Dr. Pat. He wakes up after a night of boning his wife, and he's a little sick. He's a little under the weather, and he thinks he got the flu from a patient that he already went and saw, that he said had the flu, but had like some like fucked up sores on his back. And he was like working in the sewers or whatever. Like that's what he did. He was a sewer worker. And I don't know. They don't really explain it.
No, he just goes down there.
He just goes down there and hangs out for a shift. Yeah. He directs traffic in the sewers. But he gets this urgent call from that patient, goes back to the house. The first time he had left the house, there was a creepy guy in a suit peeking at him around a tree. right? That he didn't see, just kind of felt watched. And you as the viewer, you see this guy behind the tree. The next time he goes back, he gets this urgent call and it says like, he's like, you should call the ambulance and whatever. And he's like, oh, I already did, but I need you, whatever. So he goes over there. No one's home. And the house has been like cleared out. And that creep is creeping around. Actually, the creep only shows up the second time. I think I'm mistaken. Is that accurate? Or is he there the first time?
I don't know. I forget as well. Bad memory.
Yeah. Yeah, not that important. But Dr. Pat really starts falling apart, like literally. Like his fingernails that were like bleeding before are now like falling off. He's got these sores on his face. He ends up passing out. His wife finds him passed out, and he wakes up. He's all fucking ghouled up, right? And his wife showing symptoms now. And then somebody knocks at the door. It's a dang old man in black. It's a dang old man in black outside. And this weird violin music starts playing, which is kind of cool. Dr. Pat, he just like grabs the table and just like spontaneously degloves himself.
Yeah.
Like, it's just skin comes off his fingers. It's pretty intense. And then just all of his skin starts like sliding off, like you fucking snakes shedding its skin. It's pretty gross. And then you like jump back to the present. And he's in this bed. He's all like covered in gauze, almost like he's a, burn victim or something in the contamination free, room that he was at the beginning. And the Men in Black guy's there and he's like, we got to continue with the treatment or whatever. And he's got fucking full on goop skin at this point. Like they take off his bandages and just all of his skin and flesh is just like rotted away. And he's just like skeleton mixed. It's really grime. It's gross. It's goopy. So you pick up that he's got some sort of like insane flesh eating, like bacterial infection is what I took it as.
Yeah.
And he's basically like, to the Men in Black guys, like, essentially saying that they're like covering this up. And Dr. Pat's like, no, bro, you're not going to be able to cover this up because, disease is going to get out and you're going to fuck up the whole world. And there's just this like monologue that he gives about it. And then they take off his like bandages over his face and he's got like a hangy eye and shit. It's pretty grimy, and that's it. I mean, that's really how it ends. It really ends just kind of like not anticlimactic. The climax is seeing his whole goopy body and face. Yeah, but it's just ends again. These all have a very just mean ending. Where it's like nothing. Everyone dies. The bad thing happened. That's it.
Yeah, I like. Obviously I like the ending because like the effects are fucking great at this point. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do have the note like as they pull out, they do a full body shot of him, and it's very clear that it ate his dick off. And I was like, oh no, it ate his dick. Like,
oh yeah, no, there's no dick. It's just like pelvis.
Yeah, it's just a cavity. The story overall,
the dick's the tastiest, tenderest bit
for the bacteria, of course.
For the bacteria, yeah. Of course, for the bacteria.
Yeah, of course. How's it not going to get in there? The story, like, it could be better because, like, there could be, like, a real strong analogy for a marriage that's failing with what Dr. Pat's going through. But it should, like, the film's simply not long enough. It doesn't give us enough conflict scenes between him and his wife. Doesn't give us enough backstory. Like the way it ends, the way he gives this, like this premonition or this like this warning to the MIB that you can't keep it in, it'll get out eventually. That's actually like a good analogy for if you're like hiding an extramarital affair or something like that. It eventually gets out and it eventually, tears everything down. So like I guess in a longer short film or even a feature film, you could build something that's better. It's just like this one falls a little flat, but it's still okay.
Well, yeah. And it was weird because they were like patching things up, and he kind of came to terms with it because they said the reason his marriage was falling apart was because he was giving too much to his job.
Right.
So now he's like, and he even says to her, like, you know, I fucked up. Will you take me back? Give me a second chance, whatever. And then so he's made out to be the good guy there. And I really thought what they were going to do would be more of like, because they were really playing up this whole societal angle of like, he's here to help people who aren't, you know, who don't have insurance, and you know, he doesn't care if he gets sued. He's here to help people because the system's broken.
Right.
So I thought they were going to do that whole thing of like the Men in Blacks, like representing, you know, the system or whatever, you know, it feels like they didn't have enough time.
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't have enough time, but like you could definitely run like 3 parallel stories at the same time of like, he's literally falling apart. His marriage is falling apart. Society's falling apart. You can run all those parallels at the same time. And yeah, that might be more suited for a feature when you have time to marinate in a relationship and build up to him, you know, getting sick and things like that. And then you have like a strong third act of him like running. Do you ever see The Incredible Melting Man?
Yeah.
Just make that the third act. Like he's literally melting.
He's just running through a park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's running from the MIB, you know? So just make that the third act.
Yeah. So again, that one's wrapped up. All right. So we're on to 4 of 5 here. This one's called The Meat Man. I get what they were trying to do with this one. I think it's a fun idea. Again, pretty predictable. Probably could have done more with it, but anyway, so here's what it's about. So you start out with these 3 kids, you know, walking home from school, just chit chatting or whatever. They got like the friend, and then they got like 2 brothers. So the friend just kind of, you know, they leave him at his house, whatever. And the older brother, he says something about the meat man. The friend had said like, don't let the meat man get you or whatever. And the younger brother's like, who's the meat man? And the older brother, that classic trope of like, you're too young. I can't tell you, you know, you'll get scared. You'll tell mom. And he's like, no, tell me, I'm old enough, whatever. So he tells him about the meat man. And the meat man is this local legend. The story about this, just like it's the local serial killer story right around the town, but specifically he says like, you know, your soccer coach, and she just left one day. It's because she got murdered by the meat man. And the meat man chops people up, cuts up their bodies, turns them into, you know, like cuts of meat, wraps it up like a butcher, and eats people's tasty bits basically. And you know, he's taken many victims in the neighborhood, and it's all like being covered up and whatever. There's a great line here that I did write down that cracked me up, because he's like, yeah, they went in, they didn't hear from her for a few days, and then the neighbor started to smell something. So they went in and they saw her, and the younger brother goes, was she okay? And he goes, no, she was dead. It was pretty wild.
She okay?
Yeah, was she okay? I kind of did like a little blurt laugh. You kind of want the little brother to get got right from the beginning. He's real fucking annoying.
Sure. But he's a little
just
brother.
Annoying. I mean, these 2 kids are bad at acting. You know, it's fine. In any case, they find this little bit of paper and some string that apparently has like blood on it in their dad's study. And they decide that their dad is the meat man. Yeah. And so most of this is actually lots of different explanations about why they should or why they should not believe that their dad is the meat man, complete with all these dramatizations. Yeah. Of like what he would have done if he was the meat man, but maybe he's not the meat man, and all this stuff. So that's really the crux of this, is like their dad killing people, cutting them up or whatever. And then they're like, but no, that couldn't happen because of this, you know?
Yeah. I really like how the majority of this short film is like just built on their imaginations. Like it's
just speculation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because so that scene where they're talking about like the crime scene of their coach being dead, and like they're imagining the most gory bits of like her leg has been skeletonized and shit like that. And there's also, it's just one of my favorite shots in the whole anthology. I don't know why, I just like it. So is there's a low angle camera shot angled up at a cop, and the cop is taking photos of the crime scene, and just the way it's framed and the way his shadow is on the back of the, like, it's just very stylized and feels like we're in those kids' heads and they're imagining, like this hyper stylized situation.
They did do a good job of that. They show this dreamy, it's almost a dreamy type of filter they put on it too.
Well, they just might have been out of focus. Some of that happens a lot in this film.
That too. But yeah, so it's back and forth or whatever. They got in trouble one time for being in the freezer, and then they eventually go down to check the freezer again. They think they see like body parts in the freezer, but again, it's just their imagination. Dad catches them checking the freezer, explains everything away. Just kidding, he's the meat man.
Yeah.
As soon as they walk away, he goes and like opens up another compartment under the freezer, and that's
Secret
where
freezer.
He's got all his people meat. So the idea is like kids' imaginations are crazier than real life. Just kidding, Dad's the meat man.
Yeah.
So it was fine. You knew it was coming a mile away. Like it had to be that. But what I was betting, I was giving it too much because they kept talking about mom too, and I was like, no, mom's gonna kill dad. Mom's the meat man, or something. But no, it's just dad's the meat man.
Yeah, you could see it a mile away, but also it's just I think it's just put together in a really fun way. There's like a lot of the like when they're remembering what their dad does as just like a regular guy. And like they're just trying to like,
oh yeah, it's fun.
It feels
felt like Erie, Indiana a little bit. It was a little more violent episode of Erie, Indiana. Yeah. Like the dad has a very like
mundane
boomer era job where he sells vacuum cleaners door to door.
Right. Yeah, which isn't like, I mean, even for 2009, that's pretty like an outdated. Like I did have somebody come to my door once in like 2014 selling like rug cleaner and shit just door to door.
Yeah.
So like it still happens, but it's
I had a friend who probably 2007, like when I was in college, he sold vacuum cleaners.
Yeah. So it still happens, but it just feels like a real bygone era of a job to do. But yeah, they're like remembering his dad, and like the editing, like you're saying, the whole thing kind of feels like an Erie, Indiana episode. Like the editing on these remembering scenes feels a little bit of like a Shaun of the Dead, where they're going bop it up it up it up to to fill in like the blanks. So yeah, the other thing that's really important about this is for WrestleMania weekend, we should all get prepared for El Stinko versus the dumpster diver.
Oh yeah, this was the one with the little wrestling scene they did in the back. Yeah, it was a long something. It was something El Stinko or whatever.
Yeah, it was El Stinko versus the dumpster diver, and it was like in I forget the name of the promotion, but and it's just like two kids like sitting on the carpet watching that with chocolate milk. I was like, hell yeah, dude, that's a Saturday.
That's a Saturday. It was a good, nice little Saturday there. All right, let's go into the last one here. This one was called The Watcher. So The Watcher starts out, this was part of this I really liked. Part of it was really bad, but overall I enjoyed this one, I'll say. So it starts out with just four cool kids slamming beers, ripping J's, clapping cheeks in the pickup truck. just in the going the old pickup truck, going out to the woods to slam some beers, rip some J's, clap some cheeks, going camping, right? They get there. They're really heightened emotionally, like party bro kind of teenagers. They're just like, let's scrim some beers. Wait till you see. They just keep saying like, the fucking this. Wait till you fucking see this fucking campsite's fucking awesome. Like they were almost like in a Rob Zombie movie level of parody. And then they just like, I don't know how much of this was tongue in cheek and how much of it was just like, how do we act like party animal teens? Because then they just got in the lake and just started like aggressively splashing each other in like just in a such a dumb way. I don't know. Like, it's just not realistic at all.
The one guy is doing like hardcore pit, windmills in the lake. Like if you ever seen people do windmills in the hardcore pit, he was doing that in the lake and splashing one of the girls. It's like, all right, whatever.
They were all like very childish and cartoonish.
Yeah. The other silly part about this is there was no audio they got for this whole scene. Mm-hmm. So it's all pretty much 80 yard. Mm-hmm. And so like they're just trying to match that. It just feels like the enthusiasm is very different, and just like what they're saying doesn't make any sense. So it just feels weird, but yeah.
And then of course their aggressive splashing draws a chud out of the woods. So I'm just a forest chud is in the woods, I guess. It's kind of like a Hills Have Eyes meets chud. I don't know. It's got a slightly deformed face, but also just like dressed like a youth pastor kind of thing or something.
A little bit.
I don't know. It's all like dirty. I don't know. It's just a crazy redneck chud of some sort. I don't know. And he's kind of peeking on him, right? And then they're really into shooting guns. They want to shoot guns. So they got this rifle. It's like an old like lever action 30-30 or something. Like it's something you would expect, John Wayne to have, fucking side saddle, right? And they go out there, they're shooting rifles, shooting beer cans with their rifle. Turns out the one girl's like a crack shot. Then they have like I guess a woods orgy. I don't know. Or they just have tent boning side by side. I don't know. Just all that type of stuff. Just like degen party in the woods shit. And then one of the dudes who's Tommy goes out for like a post boning swim at night. And he doesn't bring a towel. And I was just so disturbed by him putting his clothes on over. He's just soaking wet with a soaking wet swimsuit. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing? So I'm very preoccupied with that. And then he gets the forest chud just jumps out and just like does drive-by throat rips and stuff. Like, imagine someone standing in the woods in the dark and then someone coming past them at a full sprint, stopping for a fraction of a second to rip their throat out and then keeps running. Like, that's kind of what this guy does.
Yeah.
So he gets his throat ripped out by a forest chud.
Just that whole wet clothes thing. Before that happens, his girlfriend scares him. And he falls in his wet clothes in the mud and in the grass. Yeah. So like now he's wet and muddy. That's just like one of those things that skeeves me out of like being wet and muddy and dirty. Like that just that bothers me. I would hate that.
It looks unpleasant. Then you go to sleep like that. Come on. Anyway, so they find little bits of Tommy, and then they eventually find him. He's all eaten up. And this is when things really go off the rails because they find him. He's getting eaten by a forest chud. So they find like the remainder of his corpse, and the chud has already consumed, I'm going to say 40% of him. He's in bad shape, and they're not that bummed. Like they're mid bummed about this. And they're just kind of like, oh man, we got to get out of here. Like Tommy's dead. He got eaten.
I did like when they scared the chud, he runs off and he's still like, he's holding half of the skeleton with him. Like he pulls half of it. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. We should say the chud, every time he's on screen, he's just screaming as well.
It's a good choice.
It's
a good choice. Yeah.
But they never hear him coming. Again, complete silence, sprint past, scream, bite, rip, keep screaming, run away, and then they lose him.
Yeah. It's a good choice. I like his characterization of like, it's not that he's nonverbal. He just speaks and screams.
Right. Like just shit's getting wild all over the place. People are getting eaten. People are getting shot. Like one of them gets shot, but they're still not really showing the level of alarm or like to warrant the severity of the situation. They're just like, oh man, we really got to get out of here. I'm done camping. And then you do get the one other guy gets his guts ripped out, and it's a pretty good rip effect. It's like guts falling out kind of thing. And though it happens in a split second, so he's just like standing there. All of a sudden, again, the drive-by chudding runs up, and it's like he got his stomach ripped open by a chainsaw, but the guy did it with his mouth in 1 second.
Yeah.
So again, this, like I said, these forest chuds are all powerful. The remaining girl does the old like, come and get me, I'm not scared routine, and I'm like Kevin McAllister style. I'm like, no, you should be scared. This guy has chainsaw teeth. Like, you got to get the fuck out of here. And then she does that whole routine, and then just like immediately gets pwned by the chud. And then she like wakes up, and he just like pounces on her, and then she wakes up. He doesn't kill her. He wakes up, and she's sleeping next to the forest chud the next morning. And again, this is when you see he's fully dressed like a youth pastor. And instead of like braining him while he's sleeping, she like steps over him and then tiptoes into the forest, but then immediately alerts him 5 seconds later. And then then he starts screaming and chasing her.
Yeah.
And this whole chase ensues. And then she ultimately brains him with like, I think a rock or something, but she gets back to the truck, but she like fucks around with the truck. And so trying to like text for help or whatever, but the truck starts. I don't know, she's just dicking around. And then she ultimately, the chud pops up at the truck window, and she gets killed. And that's the end of the last short film.
Yeah. This, I don't know. There's a lot of bad decisions and stuff. There's some good night photography. Like when Tommy goes swimming, there's just like a really cool shot of the lake and light being reflected off the lake. And then you see Tommy's silhouette move through that. That's really cool. Mm-hmm. I like when we're shown the den of the chud, and like he just sleeps on a pile of bones. That goes pretty. Yeah.
She's like, but he's like, she steps over him, cracking all the bones and stuff.
I know, that's stupid. Yeah. That's dumb as shit. Like if you're literally surrounded by sharp ass bones, stab him in the fucking head. Mm-hmm. So that was dumb. The idea that he sleeps on a pile of bones is cool. The idea that she could get away from that situation is bad. Mm-hmm, there's on and off things that I like. So okay. Remember how I said I had like a running bets in my head of like, why did Brian pick this movie? Yeah. So the lead off in my head was, okay, there's a lot of drive-in culture and it has this wraparound. That was my lead off. I was like, okay, that kind of seems like that's what Brian, was going after. The other was there. I think there's like a theremin in the first 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, maybe Brian just like started watching this, heard the theremin and said, all right, I'm going to fucking do it to him. Yeah.
Sure.
The third that was on my mind was in this final segment, the final girl who gets away sort of, but then doesn't, is played by Jenna Maraska. She's from Pittsburgh.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was on a season of Survivor. Well, she was on a couple seasons of Survivor. Okay. But she won one of the seasons of Survivor and then went back for.
That's why I recognized the name. Yeah.
Yeah, Clash of Champions or whatever. And then
she's probably been on Pittsburgh This Morning Live or whatever,
Sure, why not? Yeah. She was also on TNA Wrestling for a minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she was on TNA Wrestling for a minute, and she won the award for worst match of 2009. So I was wondering if you were going super super deep. This was my super
meta. I like that it made you think this much about it, but yes, it was not. It was the opposite. It was I thought less about it and forgot that I promised to really punish you.
Yeah, that's why I was just
watching
so confused.
Too much Christian horror.
This was the punishment of me just trying to figure out why did Brian make me watch
mind
this.
games. Yeah, it's just the mind fucking of it. I like that it worked out that way.
Yeah, but my 15-1 odds was that Brian picked this movie because Jenna Maraska was in the 2009 worst match, and it's WrestleMania weekend, and he wanted to do some sort of tie-in to that and Pittsburgh and all of that all together. And he knows Jenna Maraska somehow.
Somehow, yeah, we dated. We were on Survivor together.
Right.
I do want to go watch this match now, like just to see how bad it was. Did you watch the match?
I haven't watched the match, but I just reading like her history, because like I was trying to remember. I remembered her that she was on Survivor, but I actually got her confused with the other girl who was from our area. What was her name? Amber Burkich or something?
Okay, that sounds familiar too.
There was a girl that was more specifically from Beaver County that was on Survivor in a while. But Jenna Maraska was the one from Pittsburgh who she won, and then she also went on to do. She was in Playboy for a minute. Because as like the girls of Survivor, and then was on TNA. So, yeah.
All right. I got to look her up now. Jenna Maraska Survivor. All right. Yeah. So here's where we're at. This is the end. And we all. Oh, I remember her. Yep. In any case, so the wraparound just wraps itself up in a tidy little package. Basically, the sun comes up. Everyone had a fun night. The ghouls bury themselves back in the ground. The ghosts disappear. And they basically say, like, we'll be back next time. Like, it's just, there's really nothing to the end of it, but it's fun. Fun to think that, the zombies go bury themselves again, and then they'll come out next weekend, to man the haunted drive-in. So, that was about it. Overall, like I said, low budget, fun, charming, dumb at times, but felt like it was made with with a lot of love. So I appreciated this movie, and I'll probably watch it again. I could see myself. I remember we talked about how much I liked when I first saw it, that Chillerama movie, which was again about a kind of haunted-ish type of drive-in situation, and this felt even kind of more authentic. So I appreciated it.
Yeah. I don't know that I'll ever watch it again. Like I appreciate all the stuff that it does, but also just the execution isn't. I don't know. When you can see it coming before the story ends for the first time, it doesn't feel like I should watch it again either. But
no,
I was trying to find that new short film that the director made, because it is a Lovecraft adaptation, and two, he got Tony Todd to do a voiceover for like one of the characters in it, and three, on the IMDb trivia, it says all of the effects done in it are done with practical latex puppets and otherwise, so it's an all practical effects type of deal. So yeah, it looks like this guy is getting his feet under him again, because it seems like after this he does this animated short called Infinite Santa 8000, and it seems like it was like a web series for a while.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it was just like an animated cartoon about Santa in the year 8000 apocalypse doing murders, which is fine and whatever.
Yeah, I saw the a couple still images of it. Oh, that kind of looks fun. I'd look that up. All right, boys and ghouls, that is the drive-in horror show from 2009. Check it out on the Tubies, you guys. You'll have a lot of fun. And also, don't forget this week to go onto the social medias and help us vote. I'll remind you one more time what our showdown topics for May are going to be. We have the option to pick from space horror, frickin' mummies, or fairy tale horror, all of which sound really fun to me. I'm excited to do any damn one of those. I'm excited for it to be May, first and foremost. So, all right, Steve, anything else I'm forgetting about? Anything else I should mention?
That strawberry vanilla hard soda pop, not your father's hard soda pop. It's actually pretty good. Again, it seems like they figured it out, because so far I've had the lemon lime, the cherry cola, and now this one. All of those had the potential to be like super medicinal and like gross. Yep. None of them are. The strawberry vanilla might be too sweet for you, but yeah, it's fine otherwise.
How does it rank up against bourbon and squirt? That's what I want to know.
Well, I don't like grapefruit. I don't like grapefruit, so it's gonna like damn it wins for me because I don't like grapefruit.
Guys, here's the best RTD ever. It's not an RTD. It's just a TD. It's not a ready to drink cocktail. It's just a to drink cocktail.
A to drink.
You get a fucking glass. You put some ice in it, right? You fill about half full of bourbon, and then you fill the rest up with a fucking squirt. And then you got a TD, and you drink that son of a bitch. And that's what I like to do. Not this RTD shit. All right, guys. For the Halloween's Forever crew, I'm Brian.
And I'm Ginger and J-Mo.
Yeah, you are. All right. See you little squirts later. Bye.
Bye-bye.